Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you have worked on CUCM or any other SIP based phone system for any amount of time, then you know the pain of testing phone numbers, especially if you were to do that en masse. Usually, you pick up the phone, you dial the number, then you wait and hang up, and then you move on to the next number. Now, if you've got 100 numbers to verify after a dial plan change or any other regular, maintenance activity, then that's basically half of your day gone. And by the end of your shift, your mood will not be much different from the character in this badly animated GIF. So, in this video, we will explore a tool that fixes exactly that problem. It's called SIPp. It's been around for years, it's completely free. And once you get comfortable with it, you can fire off test calls to any SIP destination without touching a single phone. Now, this is another badly animated GIF that's trying to tell you how easy your life will become with this solution. So, the first question you might be asking is, what exactly is SIPp? In its most simplest form, it's a SIP testing tool. At its core, it sends SIP messages based on instructions you give it in an XML file, and it listens for responses from the other party. You can use it to act as the caller or the callee. For our use case, we mostly care about the calling side, which means that we will be making SIPp dial a number for us. Now the question is, why would you use this instead of just picking up a phone? I can think of a few reasons. The first one is speed. You can test dozens of numbers in the time it usually takes to manually test one. The second is the consistency. SIPp does exactly what you tell it every single time, so you're not dealing with human error. This is driven by the XML scenario file that we talked about earlier. Whatever you define in that XML file will be executed by SIPp. And third, and this is perhaps the one that really matters to a lot of us, it's automation. Once you've got a working scenario, you can run this on a schedule after every change for hundreds of numbers as a part of a CI pipeline or any other workflow that fits your particular environment. Now, I have my blog post here, which I published a few days back. And on the right, I have my Ubuntu machine where SIPp is installed. So we'll go through it together so that there is no missing piece. Now, if you want to install SIPp in its most basic form, then you can simply do apt install SIPp, but that will not include some critical components like RTP support. So we are going to build it from the source instead. I've given the commands here, so you can copy them as it is, and that should be good enough to build the SIPp package. Once you have installed it, and if you want to verify whether that has been installed properly, you can simply do SIPp-v. And as you can see, I have version 3.7.2 installed with the TLS and PCAP packages. So that looks fine. Now, as we discussed earlier, the actual meat of SIPp testing tool is in the XML scenario file. Now, this is the basic structure of the XML scenario file. Everything SIPp does is driven by this file. You are basically scripting a phone call, like send this message and then wait for the response, then pause for a few seconds, take this action, etc. Let me actually break down these building blocks through one of the scenarios that we'll be demoing shortly. So this is one of the scenarios that we will looking at a later time. So as you can see here, you have the send block. Within send, we are sending an invite message, and within invite, you have different headers. If you've gone through SIPp logs before, all of this would be very familiar to you. One thing that you need to remember is that all of this needs to be put within the CData block, because as you can see, there are headers that have special characters like these angular brackets, and if you do not include all of this within the CData block, that's going to break the XML parsing. Okay, and then you have the receive block here. This is SIPp waiting for something. So you tell it what response code you are expecting from the opposite side. Like we have 100 trying, 180 ringing, and then 200 okay. There is this also a parameter called optional, which is true here for 100 trying and 180 ringing. This is useful in scenarios where the opposite party may not send these specific messages. For example, we may get a 183 session in progress instead of 180 ringing in early media scenarios. So if we have 180 marked as optional here, in such cases, the SIPp client will simply ignore the absence of 180 ringing in the coming message instead of breaking the XML scenario. Then you have the pause section here, and here we are pausing the call for 5000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds, and this is basically the duration for which we can keep the call active. Then we have another send section, and within that we are sending the bye message, so basically we are disconnecting the call. Now, before we actually test it out on the actual system, let me quickly give you some information about these special keywords. As you can see, these are in square brackets: service, remote IP, remote port. So the information is here within the same block. These are actually filled, auto-filled by SIPp at runtime, so you do not have to hard code anything here. Okay, now I think we are ready to demo it. Let me actually fire up my CIPC. Okay, so here I have my CIPC, nothing fancy here, just a simple phone configuration with an extension 1105. And let me, so this is the scenario file basic called .xml that we will be demoing here. Let's look at the contents. So this is the exact file that I copied to my blog, so there is no difference. One thing that I think I should do is, okay, I already did that. Okay, so instead of keeping the call active for 5 seconds, we are keeping the call active for 10 seconds. Okay, let's run the command. Now the command structure is already given in the blog, but I'll explain it here again. So it's going to be, let me punch in my server IP here. Okay, so let's go over this. So SIPp is the name of the tool. So the command is going to be initiated with that keyword. Then this is the IP of the SIP server. In this case, it's going to be call manager. Then -sf is the flag which accompanies the name of the scenario file. So the name of the file, the scenario file that we'll be executing here is basic call.xml. Then -s is followed by the name of the extension, the phone number that we want to test. So in this case, it's going to be 1105. Then -m basically means that we want to make just one call. If you want to make more than one call, then you can increment the number accordingly. Okay, so as soon as I hit enter, it should initiate the call. Okay, so I hit enter, I see the call coming in, I'm going to answer it, and the call should remain active. Now, if you see here, I'm getting some live statistics here, and once the call has ended, I will get some more report and we'll go over it again. Okay, so the call remained active for like approximately 9-10 seconds, and this is the complete status of the call. Okay, outgoing calls created 1, total calls created 1, successful call 1, and if you look at the messages, or the sequence was completed successfully. Invite 100 trying, 180 ringing, 200 okay, ACK, then it paused for 10 seconds, and then bye, and 200 okay. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I think this is pretty much it. In later parts of the video, when we actually automate this whole thing and we bring in the AI agenting component into the picture, this sort of information is going to be our key driver. So we'll be looking at this information and try to decipher how the calls are behaving in real time. So this is a very basic call scenario. Now, let's talk about audio, because a test call that just rings and hangs up is not always enough. Sometimes you actually want to verify audio path or test an IVR or just simulate a real call. Now, let's take a look at the scenario file with an audio component. Okay, so this is the scenario file that's going to connect the call and then play an audio. Okay, so this scenario file looks pretty much similar to the earlier one, except this time it will play an audio file instead of just staying idle after the call is connected. Now we know that with audio we also need to have a way to exchange media codec information with the opposite party. That's why we are now sending this SDP component along with the initial invite. If you see, this looks like a standard invite message with an early offer. One critical thing that you need to remember is to add a blank line between your SIP headers and your SDP body in the XML file. I mean, if you have analyzed SIPp logs before, then this will be very familiar to you. You must have seen it 1,000 times already. People usually make the mistake of not adding this blank line when writing these scenario files, and without that blank line, the receiving end, the opposite party has no idea where your SIP headers end and your SDP starts, and your call is just going to either fail silently or act in some other strange way. Now here, okay, let's take a look at some of the other things. Okay, so the receive section looks pretty much the same as before. Let's see. Okay, so now this NOP section, NOP and action tags, these are different. So this NOP basically means no operation. It does not send anything over the wire, but it lets you trigger an action. And this is where we are going to play an audio. Now, one of the easiest ways to play the audio is with an action called RTP stream. We just give it a WAV file and it plays that audio over RTP during the call. Plain and simple, nothing fancy about it. The rest of the messages remain pretty much the same. The call is going to stay active for like 10 seconds and then we will just disconnect the call. Now I'm back on the same machine, and this time we are going to run the same command, but instead of executing basic call.xml, we are going to execute a different scenario file. Let me actually show it to you. So this is the XML file that we will execute. So look at the contents. It's the same file that I had copied on my blog, so there is nothing different there. So let's actually do that. We will just change the name of the file here. Okay, let me pull up my CIPC once again. Okay, my CIPC here. Okay, let's see. Enter. Okay, I see the call coming in. I'm going to answer it now.
This is a demo of SIPp tool with audio file.
Okay, so it played the audio message, and then of course it's going to remain active for 10 seconds. Okay, so the call ended, and this time it played an audio file instead of staying silent for 10 seconds. And the statistics remain pretty much the same as before. So the whole SIP dialog was completed successfully. Total calls created 1. Successful call was 1. Okay, so yeah, so this pretty much completes the demo for the RTP specific scenario file. And let's move on to the next one. Now, one more thing I wanted to show here is the logging part. So I've added that section in my blog as well. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so now both the scenarios that we just tested, they worked just fine. So it means everything was good. There was no problem at all. But what if some of the calls had failed? So in that case, you would want to look at the logs. You would want to capture the logs and analyze them either through automation or manually for further analysis. Now you can enable that feature, that log collection process through these flags: trace message, trace error. So trace message, trace underscore message is basically going to dump the full SIP message exchange between both parties. And trace error is going to capture anything that is unexpected. So if a call fails and you don't know why, then this is the first place to look. You will see exactly what was sent, what came back, and where things went wrong. In fact, let's look at the directory again. So if you see, right now I do not have any log file here. Okay, so let's actually initiate the same call, the basic call scenario, and we will do the same thing, -m1, which means we'll just make one call, but we will enable this flag, trace underscore msg. It's going to dump all the messages here. So let me fire up my CIPC again. Okay, so my CIPC is here. Okay, so the call came in. Let's answer the call. It will stay silent for 10 seconds, and after that it should dump all these messages which are actually being exchanged in the background in a log file. Okay, so the call ended. This is the same screen that we saw last time. Let's look at the contents of the directory. So now you see it created this file. So let's look at that file and copy the name of that. Okay, so you see here, this is the exact SIPp log, SIPp dialog that was exchanged in the backend, right? So invite, 100 trying, 180 ringing. So the standard messages that get exchanged in a regular, SIP call. Now this was again a successful call. Let me try to make a call to a number that does not exist at all. Okay, so for now, let me remove this file here so that we can start from scratch. Okay, so once again, we are back to the same directory structure. We do not have any log file. So let me deliberately try to make a call to a number that does not exist, and I will enable this flag as well, trace error. Okay, and instead of calling 1105, we will call like a random number which I know does not exist. So it's going to be like 14789. This is going to fail. Okay, so let's call this. Okay, so you see, it immediately ended. And if you see, even on the live stats screen, the initial level of logging that we get, it says 404 not found. Now let's look at the structure here. Okay, so now it's created another file, errors.log. So let's look at what that file says. Okay, so aborting call, an unexpected message, 404 not found. Now it says unexpected message because our scenario file did not have any accommodation for this sort of a scenario, or we did not have like a backup solution to handle these sort of messages. So SIPp does not know what to do with this incoming message. So it basically aborted the call, and the reason was 404 not found because the number was not found. And let's take a look at the actual log file that it created alongside the error file. So it's the same regular stuff. It sent the invite and immediately got 404 not found. So that's how you actually enable the logging, and you dump logs into your directory. And I'm showing this at this stage because in the future videos, when we automate this whole process end to end, and even bring in the AI component where agents will be able to assist us with the troubleshooting, this is the information that we will be feeding to those agents. Right, so this is the log file. Basically, what you as an engineer would decipher after looking at these logs, we would be automating that whole process end to end. So that's SIPp from the ground up, installing it properly, understanding the XML scenario files and their structure, getting the audio to play with RTP underscore stream action, and actually running a real test call against call manager. And again, call manager is just one of the examples. You can run it against any sort of SIP server application, or even directly against cubes or SVCs. So basically, you need a way to send your call out to test the number. Now, this is genuinely useful even just like this. Anytime you need to verify a number or a test after a change, you've got a repeatable, scriptable way to do it instead of manually dialing. But obviously, running this one command at a time is not going to scale if you've got a list of 100 numbers to check. That's exactly what we are going to solve in the future videos. Since AI is the flavor of the season, we are also going to bring AI into the picture and agentify this whole process. So that's all from my side. The link to my blog that I refer to here in this video is in the description below. And while you are here, don't forget to check out other videos on my channel. And if you like this video and found it useful, then please subscribe to my channel and drop a comment if you've got any further questions or a general feedback. I will be posting a lot of interesting stuff in the coming days. Thank you once again.